It's brain vomit day. Hey everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about for the past week, and that is just the idea of gratitude and being grateful. It's really hit me like a bus of how much I was lacking gratefulness and gratitude in my everyday life. I often find myself just thanking God for the big things and for the things that I've been wishing and praying for, but not the daily things that I am just so blessed with. And I pulled up some notes from my church sermon that just aligned so perfect with it. And I just wanted to talk about it with you guys today. And just let this be a reminder that it's okay to be grateful and it is okay to show gratitude for the daily things. If anybody, kind of teases you for it or makes you seem like you're being too extra or anything of that sort, let them be that way. Okay. I used to think that, I used to do this thing where after sometimes I would hang out with my friends, I would text them and be like, oh, thank you guys so much for the time. Like, I had such a fun time today, and I'm so thankful that I got to hang out with you guys. And sometimes I would just get like a like on the message, or like I would get ignored, which is fine. But I used to stop because I felt guilty for being so like sentimental or grateful that I had the time with them. And I decided that I'm not going to do that anymore because there was one point where I was praying for friends to hang out with. There was one point where when I did have friends, I didn't feel like they loved me or cared about me. Okay. So I'm done allowing people and allowing things or allowing social media to make me feel silly for being appreciative of smaller things. And I realized that I needed to be grateful about even more things. For example, this morning, the whole reason I thought about recording this episode, I got my car's oil changed and I got two filters replaced. And as you know, car maintenance is not cheap. I wish it was, but it's not. I don't know how to do it myself. I eventually want to learn how to do it myself so I can save some money, but it is not cheap. I spent like $150 this morning, which doesn't seem like a lot to some of you, but for me that's a lot. Okay, I'm a college student that works part time. Okay, um, it was a lot. I wasn't expecting to drop that much today. I was expecting to drop maybe only 60, but then they told me like, oh, you got to get this and this and this and this and that fixed, and I was like, oh, gotta crack down on it. So after I sit down, after the guy tells me what I need to fix in my car and what all needs to be replaced in the car, um, I sit down to like make a post on my Instagram close friends story talking about like it was so silly. I said something like, "Oh, I'm just a child of 21 years old. Like, why am I paying $120, $150 to get my car fixed?" But then I deleted it immediately because I felt convicted, like, almost in an instant. Like the second I hit post, I felt conviction, and I was hit with the thought that some people don't even have cars. Some people would be thrilled to be paying for car maintenance right now because they have a car. And I was like, wow, are you kidding me? Like, I drive a 2022 car that I did not have to pay out of pocket for, that I did not have to pay for. All I do is pay for my insurance. And I'm like, how blessed am I to be able to have that? And I'm over here complaining that I had to pay for car maintenance. Like, are you kidding me? So I'm glad I was hit with that because it just showed a little bit of ungratefulness and a little bit of, may I say, ignorance in my heart to how blessed I really am. And I just wanted to sit in that and really talk about how this kind of connects with what I heard in church these past couple of weeks. We did a series on everyday joy, and I really needed it. Like, there's nothing like a good reminder of how the Lord can really fulfill my life, and I need to use that to my fullest extent. If I keep placing my value and my worth and my joy and my contentment in other things that are never going to fulfill the same way God does. And I'm not even going to sit up here and be like, this means you have to go to God today. Okay, look, as much as I would love that, I'm just here to talk about this and this experience. I also wanted to say, this is kind of unrelated to what I'm talking about, but if y'all have ever felt, a random pull or desire to look into Jesus a little bit more or to maybe go to a church that you've been seeing, don't ignore that. Don't ignore that at all because I 100% believe that that is the Holy Spirit and the Lord tugging on your heart to see if you're going to open the door for Him. That's what it was for me and many other people that are now, Christ followers. It was very random. All of a sudden, you weren't expecting it. A prayer that I came across the other day that I think is really good for people that are non believers or, are just looking to explore Christianity. And not like, see, I don't even like using the term Christianity because it feels so different. Like, it's not a religion, it really is a relationship, and that's why I do it, okay? When I was following Christianity, the religion, I hated it, okay? And I almost left, okay? That it was not it. But once I discovered that this is really a relationship and not a bunch of rules I have to follow or a bunch of things that I have to check off of a list in order to get to heaven, like, that is whenever I fell in love with it, and that's who God showed me who He really was, and I am so happy, and I'm never going, ever going back. This is the most joy and contentment I've ever felt. But anyways, done with the little rant. Time to get into the notes. So on week 3 of this series, this woman named Heather was preaching, and she was just spitting bars after bars after bars. It was so good. It was so good. So she was saying, if you constantly complain, you forfeit contentment. And I was just like, wow, that was so good. And this was a couple weeks ago. And it didn't hit for me until today, really, because what happened with the car, and I realized that I was being ungrateful and I just need to be content. And if I'm constantly complaining, oh my goodness, here we go, I had to drop $150 on car maintenance, then I lose the contentment of even having a car. You know what I mean? How blessed am I to have a car? How blessed am I to be able to live alone, to be able to go to school? You know what I mean? Whenever I complain, I instantly lose that joy and contentment that can be found in situations like that. No, I don't think it's fun for anybody to drop, over $100 on car maintenance. I don't think anybody loves doing it. But whenever you complain about it, it literally forfeits every little piece of joy you can pull from that situation. And I want to release that, and I am currently praying that the Lord will help me to find the joy in every situation rather than instantly complain. I have been surrounded by people in the past that all they do is complain, and it just brings down the energy, and it is so annoying and draining, and I don't want to be that person for anybody, and I don't want to surround myself I don't want to surround myself with people like that anymore, just because it really does bring down the mood. And whenever that person is constantly complaining, I feel, ultimately, I do feel a little bad for them, because if you're constantly complaining, they'll never see the good in a situation. They'll never see the joy in a situation. So we went through Philippians 4 during this specific sermon, Philippians 4 verses 4 through 9. And the gist of that was that God desires His people to be habitually joyful. And I love the use of the word habitually because it's like, instant. Things that we do out of habit, they're pretty instant. And that is my goal, is to be habitually joyful. And another point, Philippians 4, the verses 4 through 9, was that God's will is good for us and not to bring harm in any way, shape, or form. And I was talking to God about this the other day, like how, I don't see what He's doing right now, but I will trust what He's doing is the best. And I know that, and I have confidence in it, even though I just don't see it right now. There's just some stuff going on, and I have had nothing but gratefulness and joy in it, and it's freaking me out because in the past I would have never had this type of joy, especially in this specific situation that I'm in. And it's just so crazy how the presence of God will literally change everything. I love it so much, and it makes me, I don't know, you see the world in a different light whenever you have this joy in these very, very strange situations where joy isn't really present, or seemingly not present, but yes. Another point made in the sermon that I highlighted was that everyday joy finds itself in God alone. and that the happiness that we bring for ourselves, I'm not saying you can't find joy in other things, you absolutely can, but if you want like the ultimate joy and joy that is habitual and that is every single day, that comes from God, point blank. You can do little things here and there to make you happy every day, yes, but there is something about the everlasting peace and joy and happiness that comes from the Lord. It is insane. And I never thought I would be able to experience it until now. Here I am experiencing it. The Lord will guide you always, and this joy is always going to be here for you as long as you stay in close proximity to the Lord. If you start to stray away a little bit, you're going to find yourself being like, okay, what's going on? Why was there a shift? Why was there a change? And you just got to put yourself back on the course. I just love this sermon so much, y'all. Like, it was so good. It was just hitting for me, and I am so glad I came back to these notes today to sit and really ponder in it, to understand what it means to actually be grateful for the day-to-day things. Like I said in the beginning, I can find myself being very, very grateful for the big things. Like, oh, I got into college. Oh, I have a new job. I have a nice job. Things like that. I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord, for that. But what happened to thanking the Lord for a new day? What happened to thanking the Lord for car maintenance? Paying for car maintenance for the car that I have. What happened to thanking the Lord for, I don't know, cooking, having food in the fridge. You know what I mean? It's just things like that that are so important just to remember and to be grateful for still, even though it's a constant in our lives. But, even though I did have some of those things, there have been times where I have experienced a lack of something. And looking back now with this perspective that I do have, if I had that perspective then, I would have been able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? But whenever all you do is see the negative points, all you're going to find is the darkness. But if you look for the light, you're going to find it. And I just love that so much. Another verse I wanted to bring up was 1 Thessalonians 5:18, and that is the main point of that was that gratitude sets the tone for joy. And I love the word tone in that because it really is the tone of it. Like, joy is here, but it just depends on how you look at it. It's all about perspective. I know I'm just like geeking out over these sermons and these verses, and just what the Lord has shown me today alone is just insane. In Philippians 4:12, who wrote that? I forgot. My brain is blanking. I'm going to be so mad editing this because I'm going to remember who wrote the book. But in verse 12, I think Paul, I don't know, whatever. The author writes, I have learned the secret of being content. And that secret was just seeking God and finding the joy in Him alone and trusting that God is going to pull you out of it. The famous verse, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's not like, oh, I can win the tournament because God is with me. I'm not saying that's the case, but I think, in my opinion, Philippians 4:13 is taken out of context a lot in the sense that God can, help me win this, help me get that, help me do this, help me achieve this. While all of those things are true, if you look at the context of the entire even verse or paragraph, you'll find that, Paul or whoever wrote this, I think it's Paul. I'm still learning, guys. Okay, so don't be mad at me if I have it wrong. But Paul was in jail, I think, at this time. And he was talking about how he finds joy and contentment even while in jail, bruh. You know how hard it is? You're stuck in confinement and he's still happy, like, joyful. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But another point that I wrote down was, whenever we give unfulfilling things our praise, we are left empty. Okay, if I give my, I don't know, if I give friendships all of my praise, at some point a friendship is going to let me down, a friend is going to upset me, or vice versa. I'm left unfulfilled, and it's like, okay, well, what was the point? I know we've talked about purpose and friendships and whatnot in the past, and my experience with feeling very lonely, feeling very empty after placing all of my energy in being a good friend only. Okay, because I placed my joy and my contentment in that alone, I was left so unfulfilled. And I was like, is this really what life is about? You know what I mean? It's just crazy. And I am just so thankful that the Lord allowed me to realize this today. And what I've noticed about the Lord, y'all, is that like he really is nothing like how the world makes him seem. Truly. And you only figure that out whenever you seek him for yourself. And I'm so thankful that I did, because if I'm going off of the God that social media is telling me about, that non-believers are telling me about, that some believers are telling me about, okay, that's not the God I want to be with. The God I want to be with is the God that's with me right now. Okay? Like, it is so good. And I am just so thankful that I'm learning more about him every single day. And it's really made me realize how much he loves me. Even if sometimes I don't see the why or what the purpose of that was, I know that everything in my path was intentional, and that everything that is placed in front of me is exactly what I need for that season of life. And I truly believe that God does that for me, and he can do it for you too. That's all I'm saying. Y'all know I'm not forceful like that. But I am just so thankful to be thankful. I'm just so thankful to be able to have this to talk to you guys about my experiences and all that stuff. It just makes me very happy. So, the summary of this episode: find contentment in the little things, even things that don't seem fun or joyful or even a happy situation. There's always at least one thing you can find to hold on to. Light will always trump darkness if you look for it. The next point: it's okay to be mushy-gushy and content over the small things. Don't let people make you feel bad for being thankful over small things. Okay? And 3, God brings the ultimate joy. God brings the everyday joy. And I'm just so thankful that I found it. And it really has like shifted the course of my life. It's just crazy. Even with like my YouTube channel, I did not expect myself to be talking about faith as much as I have been already. And this is just the beginning. And I just love it so much. And of course, you guys know like there's other episodes and stuff too. But I love talking about my faith and what I've been learning and what God has been showing me through my walk with him and my relationship that's constantly growing with him. It makes me so happy. And I feel like just joy. I don't know. Like there's nothing higher than joy for me. Like, yeah, you can be happy. You can be, I don't even know. You can be content. You can be happy. But like joy is like all the way up here. You know what I mean? It's like content, happy, joy. Okay? God brings me joy. And I love feeling like this. And I want to feel like this all the time. And I recently just went over the Great Commission with some girls that I do a Bible study with. And how God calls us to make disciples, and I just love it. I just love it. It's not even asking us. He's like telling us to go out and make disciples. And so my hope with this is that if y'all feel like the tug to explore it a little bit more, I advise you to, and do it with an open heart and an open mind, because God will show up. Pray something along the lines of, hey God, like if you are real, let it be known to me that you are real. And I promise you he will show up in one way or another. Okay. A little part of my own personal testimony is one night I was battling with if I was going to be Christian or not still. Okay. And I show up to my old church's young adults night. It was the first time I've been in forever. And I was just praying, and at the time I was dealing with a lot of depression and anxiety and panic attacks, and I hated it all. But I closed my eyes. It was during a worship night. And I closed my eyes and I said, God, let me know that you hear me. Let me know that you see me. Let me know that you hear me. And I kid you not, after just sitting in his presence, it felt like I was the only person in the room. And he let me know he heard me. I was crying. It was just like a feeling of being washed over with just peace and knowing, not thinking, but knowing that he heard me. And I began singing a worship song that I didn't know. And maybe have I talked about this on my channel before? I don't know, but I'll talk about it again. I began singing a worship song that I did not know. And if you know me and if you've been to church with me, I don't sing unless I know the words or unless the words are on the screen, okay? Because I don't like getting it wrong, okay? I don't like getting it wrong. I don't like singing the words wrong. I just get a little embarrassed with that. So the fact that I was singing this song word for word, not skipping a word at all. I've never heard the song before and I was singing it. And it was as if God was standing right in front of me. And from that point on, I was just a changed woman. I was changed. I believe that if you experience the presence of God and like actually God, you will be changed for forever. There is no way. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But yeah, just thank you guys for, that watched. Thank you for being open to hearing and being open to, listening to what I have to say. Of course, if there's any questions or comments or concerns, you can put them in the comments below and I will reply. Just keep it kind and respectful. That's how we do it around here. And yeah, just thank you, Jesus. That's all I got to say. Thank you, Jesus. And I'm just so thankful for what the Lord is showing me through all of this. But yeah. All right, guys. I will leave y'all to it. Happy 6E Saturday. I almost said sexy Saturday. Happy 6E Saturday. 6E. Happy 6E Saturday. And I will catch you on the next episode of Brain Vomit. Thanks for listening. Bye.